So in this third class that we are going to have, we will learn something new, not usually to be seen in any other languages: diacritical marks. These diacritical marks are small symbols. We use them and put them up or beneath the letters and words. Our learning agenda for this will be the Arabic diacritical marks. What are these marks? How many are they? And what effects they are doing. Then we will have the diacritical marks usage over the letters. What effects they are doing to the letters, why we are using this one rather than the other one. And last but not least, diacritical marks on the Arabic sentences. What they are doing to the sentences and what effects we are going to benefit as readers from these diacritical marks. The first thing we need to have is an abstract about the diacritical marks. If you have ever wondered what are those symbols that we are using them in the Arabic letters, what differences that they are making it to in sounds to these letters, then you have to know that this is actually not only making differences in sounds, but changing the overall meaning sometimes. These are the diacritical marks that we are going to have. Arabic language has a lot of diacritical marks, but these are the most famous, the most the mostly using ones, and the others are really going to be used in any other type of writings, or sometimes in other fonts in writings. So these lines, bold lines, are to present where are the letter is, and the above and beneath are the diacritical marks that we are going to talk about today. It will be one by one explanation. So these are the diacritical marks. As we can see here, we have 8 diacritical marks. The first one is fatha. As we explained in the previous lecture, this hyphen we are using just to differentiate between the th, rather than pronounce that to be fatha, it will be fatha, and h is for ha, as we explained in the previous lecture. So fatha is the first diacritical mark, then tanween fatha. So we will have fatha and then tanween fatha. As you can see here, if you look at the symbol itself, it will be one line. But tanween fatha, once we use the word tanween, that means it will be duplicated. So 2 fathas. This is called tanween fatha. Then dhamma, as you can see here, dhamma. Of course, there is shadda. That's why we are using the hyphen again. Dhamma and tanween dhamm. That means 2 dhamma, two dhammas coming behind next to each other over the words. Then we have the shadda. As you can see here, the name of this the critical mark explains itself. It explains itself. The letter D is duplicated. This is exactly what the shadda does. And sukoon, and then kasra, and then last but not least tanween kasr. And here you can see I'm using the English alphabets just to explain the name, or just to let you know what is the name of all of these letters. So tanween fath and fatha are in the same family. Dhamma and tanween dhamm are in the same family. Kasra and tanween kasr are in the same family. Shadda and sukoon are things that we're going to understand what they are doing to the letters in the coming one or two in couple of slides. So fatha is an open sound, as if you're saying, if we use it over the letter ra, for example, we'll say ra. So it's an open sound. However, for tanween fatah, it's an open sound as well, but we are using the letter n to add it to the sound. So it will be run. If we are putting it over the letter ra, it will be ran. If we are putting it over the letter, for example, alif, it will be an. So, and always the tanween always comes at the end of the word, never comes in the middle or in the beginning of the word. So it's ending up, we are ending up the word with it. So now dhamma is O-shaped lips. So when you're using the letter O, we can use it when you express it. You can use double O's to explain the dhamma here. And again, tanween dhamm is an O shape with the letter N, and always comes at the end of the word. As I told you before, once you see the tanween, that means it's coming after, at the end of the word. Shadda here is the duplication mark. You know, like when you are stressing on some in one of the letters, like in the name of Shadda, we are using Shadda. This d, when we are pronounce the letter dal twice, then it will be duplicated. Here just an explanation what is the other things that might happen to the shadda. All of these diacritical marks can be used with the shadda. So shadda and the sound that this diacritical mark is doing. So sukun is the bare letter, no special sounds there. Yani when you are talking about ra, for example, you're saying ra, and that's it, as if we're not using any other effects on the letter itself. Like our previous lecture when we learned about Arabic alphabets, how we did not use any of these diacritical marks. This is the sukun. Kasra is an E sound, closer to the E sound, and the tanween kasr coming always at the end of the word. Now we're going to practice this even more. We will have this practice over one letter, then we will have it on a name. This will make it much easier to be understood, rather than just take them as they are and trying to explain them. Let's go to the next slide now. We're going to use the diacritical mark in a letter. We need to know before we do that there is a secret about the diacritical mark shadda, as I explained earlier. Shadda is really not like any other diacritical marks, because all of the diacritical marks in the Arabic language can be used with the shadda. It's a duplication and stress, as we explained. And this stress would be looks like this one, shadda. When you don't find anything over the shadda, that means there is sukun there. We don't write the sukun. Even when you are reading, for example, some words and you don't find any diacritical marks over any of the letters in that word, particular word, then there is sukun there. But sukun usually we don't write it. Then shadda with fatha, and then shadda with kasra. Usually the kasra comes under the shadda, not like this. Like these bold lines are to express the letters, and the critical marks. How does it come? That the kasra comes under the shadda, the tanween fath comes over the shadda, as you can see it here, and tanween kasr comes beneath it. To write it, it looks like the letter sin. You know, the letter sin, when you're trying to write this shadda, it looks like the letter sin. Now let's present this in a very deeper way. So sukun looks like a circle, fatha like a line, two double lines up, it's a tanween fatah, dhamma and tanween, shadda and kasra, and then tanween kasr. For illustration purposes, we're going to use the letter dal to express all of these diacritical marks, each aside. So for letter dal, we are going to use all of these diacritical marks one by one, just to know what effects these diacritical marks are doing to that letter when it comes over it, or under it, or beneath it. So fatha, when it comes to the letter dal, it will be da, da, Here I write it in the English language as well, just to explain it more and make it easy for you to understand it. So whenever you say, so D expresses the letter dal, as we learned in the previous lecture. But what's about the AA coming after the letter D? It's the fatha effect. So tanween fatah, again, dal, we use 2 lines over it, then we pronounce that to be dan, dan, dan. I can even, regardless of the alif or the letter A here, you can just write DN, but just for illustration, I just wanted to make it more clear and more transparent here. That's why I wrote the A. So dan, dan, just to express what tanween fatah is doing to that letter. Again, the letter dhamma here, as you can see here, when it's coming over the letter dal, it will be do, 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 do. You remember when we learned the letter Ahmad, for example, we were going to have it in the next slide. Ahmad, we will say Ahmadu, Ahmadu. So I just don't want to say this before it comes, but just to explain the dhamma here, it's do, do. Tanween dhamm here, it will be dun, dun. As you can see, if you just have a small comparison between the fatha and tanween fath, then dhamm and tanween dhamm, the fatha will be da, and then the tanween dhamm will be dan. So dhamma, it will be do. With the tanween dhamm, it will be don. So we only add the alif. Alif usually expresses the fatha. That's why we explained that in the previous lecture, that alif is not always mean that there is a letter there. It's maybe the diacritical marks who does make this A letter in the Arabic names whenever it comes to the letters in English when we are trying to write these names. Shadda, again, we're using this shadda, double D, dal, dal. It will be did, like this. It will be expressed like did. Sukun, it's the letter itself, no effects in there. That's why, as you can see here, even the sukun, sometimes you don't need to write it. Sometimes you write it without a sukun, as you can see here. I can just write dal or dal with sukun, that means it's dal. This is the regular letter as we learned in the alphabets. It's D letter. And then kasra, we will have it a small line under the letter dal, and it will be D, and without even explain the tanween kasr. If you just think about it, we just said that N sound or N will be added to the letter whenever you are going to pronounce it. So D, then, as you can see here, the tanween kasr here comes by adding the sound noon or N in the letter, just to express tanween kasr or any other tanweens. You just add the letter noon just to express the tanween in any of these letters. So here we'll have fatha, tanween fath, dhamma, tanween dhamm, shadda, and sukun, kasra, and tanween kasr. All of these diacritical marks, you will see it, you will get to use to it, because these what makes the word right and the sentence to be correct in any other ways you want to read the sentence. You would be able to understand. Now we'll take the name Ahmed, as I mentioned in the previous slide. If you want to put the fatha at the last letter in the name Ahmed, which is Ahmed, it will be Ahmada, Ahmada. I've just added the double A. Ahmed, the D, this is the regular one. This is the normal. This is the original letter in the name, Ahmed. The double A here just to express the fatha. So Ahmada, that's why we call it an open sound. An open sound. Tanween fatha, we will use exactly Ahmed. So it will be Ahmadan, Ahmadan, Ahmadan. it won't be clear now why we are using this. Or okay, so why we are using Ahmada or Ahmadan, what effects that they are making, why we are using them. Now we're going to explain this in the couple of coming slides, but let us just introduce you to the critical marks before we get into that. So Dhamma, Ahmadu, Ahmadu, exactly like the previous slide, but here I just added the name Ahmad, and I did not use any other names. I just keep using the name Ahmad to express everything that I want you to understand, using it in one name, and that particular name would be much enough to be understanding all of the angles that we are trying to explain here. Shadda here will be Ahmad, Ahmadad, Ahmadad, but in the name Ahmad there is no shadda there. It's just for illustration. There is no shadda in the name Ahmad. It will never come in the name Ahmad. But here, just to express how does it affect the letter. So, as you can see here, I'm trying to explain. Whenever you write shadda here, without any letter, it will be sukun. So the other duplication will be sukun. So dal will be did. If it's, for example, fatha over the shadda, it will be dad, dad. There will be letter A there, just to express the fatha, which is used with the shadda. Sukun is Ahmad, and that's it. This is the normal name that we all know, Ahmad, and that's it. There is no effects on that letter. And kasra, it will be Ahmadi, Ahmadi, Ahmadi. All of these diacritical marks has meaning. We are not using them just for the purpose of using them and that's it. We're using them to express something really important, which we are going to understand in the couple of coming slides. Kasra, Ahmadi, and then tanween kasr, it will be Ahmadin, Ahmadin. Now let's go to the next slide, just to ask some important questions. Why we need all of these marks in our speaking, or what determine which one to use in this letter and which one not to use? Well, these marks are sometimes changing the meaning of the word, as we just explained earlier. Sometimes they change not only the meaning but the sound of the word, as we just even see it in the letter of dal, and how does it affect the name Ahmad. And then these two differences, or these two changing that is done to the sentence or the word, the most important thing to be understood is what determine the usage of any of these diacritical marks. Actually, what determine that is the position where that word is coming into the sentence. That's why, and here we're going to shift to the sentence to have a deeper or more understanding to this lesson. So in the English language, the sentence would be SVO, which is subject, verb, and object. And this is the regular and normal way how to write a sentence in English language. You start with the subject, you next write the verb, and then the object. However, in Arabic, it's different. We start with the verb, then the subject, then the object comes at the end of the sentence. This is the regular arrangement for the sentence when we are trying to use it. So here maybe you start to understand what's going on and how we would understand the importance, how important the diacritical marks is. Or maybe you were asking yourself, what is the relation between the diacritical marks and these arrangements? So once the SVO is determined in the sentence, then it will be much easy to us to arrange in the word sentences. It will be easy to arrange the word in the sentence and use the suitable mark to be used in any of these words. Let's have an example here just to have our understanding clearly understood. Here we will have one sentence. The boy hugged the cat. It's a simple sentence in from the English language. S is the boy, the subject. Hugged is the verb. Object is the cat. In Arabic language, it will be حضن, which is hugged. الولد القطة. See, I'm using the diacritical marks here. So, حضن الولد القطة. Notice the last letter, diacritical mark, ضمة in الولد. This expresses the subject on the sentence. See here why we are using the diacritical marks? It expresses the subject. Who is the subject? Once you see the dhamma in any of these words in a sentence word, then this is the subject. And even if it comes in the beginning of the word of the sentence, even if it comes at the end of the sentence, it would be clear to us, and it will help us to see which one of these words is the subject. Let's have the same example here, but focusing on the Arabic language. حضن الولد القطة. These are the letters that we are using. I'm just trying to have all of the letters by a side, each letter by a side, just to connect this to the previous lecture. These are the letters that we are using to form this sentence. حضن الولد القطة. In the letter noon, in the green one, the letter noon has fatha. Letter dal has dhamma, and the letter ta has the fatha. The verb comes at the beginning of the sentence, and the diacritical mark used is fatha, like in the letter noon. The subject comes in the middle of the sentence, and its diacritical mark used is dhamma, like in the letter dal, and the object is fatha, like in the letter ta. Forget about the arrangement of the sentence here, or the words, or the verb, or subject, or object, because sometimes we don't even need this arrangement. Whenever we see the critical marks, then this will be much easier for us to understand what is going on, and what of these words is the subject or object or the verb. So let's have here this sentence. We try to understand it. The man washed the car. The man washed the car. If you want to arrange this in Arabic language, just think about it. We look about the diacritical marks used in each of these words. الرجل السيارة. I'm just using the same colors so you would understand in what of these words expressed in the English language. So the car السيارة, washed غسل, and the man is الرجل. So if we want to rearrange it, just to have it as an activity now, if you want to rearrange this in the regular way, in the normal way in the Arabic language, remember in the Arabic language arrangement is V, S, O, but then first we need to identify or determine which one of these words is the verb, or which one of these words is the subject or object. So verb usually has fatha, but here we have السيارة is fatha and غسل is fathata. There is fatha there in غسل, and there is fatha in السيارة. But what is the difference is this al expressed the in the English language. So whenever you see al, it's the. You cannot use al, which is the, with a verb. We are not saying the washed. So al here is the subject, even though we are using fatha for the object and for the verb, yet whenever you see al, that means it's the object. So here we determine the object. غسل, it's the for that it will be the verb, and الرجل the dhamma, as we expressed it before, that is the subject, and the object will be السيارة because of the fatha and because of this al, which is the in English language. So the correct arrangement will be غسل الرجل السيارة. This is the most important things we are going to find in the diacritical marks. if you used الرجل to be in the first to be the first word used in the sentence, الرجل غسل السيارة, this will be correct, or السيارة غسلها الرجل. Here it will be the last slide. We would have too many examples in the coming lectures, and this lecture only designed to let you understand what are the diacritical marks and what is the benefit that we are going to have from them. It's just an introduction. This introduction is mandatory for us to understand these diacritical marks and get you introduced to them.